So I started in on my manual seat track conversion this morning. Gonna change the driver's seat tracks out to manual tracks. You can see that there is the overly complicated factory power seat track assembly and its associated parts and wiring. Switch. Went ahead and took all of that stuff off. This car's got 30,000 miles on it now. When I first got it, which was not quite a year ago, the seat wasn't too bad. And I don't know why, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it started to get a bunch of seat rock in it. I looked at it a little bit, and it's not the tracks where the factory plastic or rubber washer assemblies inside the tracks deteriorates and it slops back and forth on the track. This is actually a full-on rocking motion, which that's a no-go for me. I don't even care to fix it. I don't even want to try and fix it. Like I said, I've had this car for not quite a year and I've never moved the seat, so having all that power stuff in there is not important to me. I found a pretty good deal on some manual tracks that were already converted. I don't know if you can see it very well, but the rear seat attach brackets have to be swapped from left to right. I say left to right. I say that position-wise, it is a left seat. So you're making the manual tracks be usable on the left side as they originated on the right side of the car. Picked these up online from a fella on the Corvette forum. Good price. He did a nice fair price, so it was worth it to do the project. I've seen some of these manual tracks going on eBay for just ridiculous prices. Like $300, ridiculous. And at that point, I might as well just go aftermarket seats. But since this seat's only got 30,000 miles on it, it's actually in pretty good shape. You can't see the seat bottom very well, but these seats are, they're not the greatest. They don't really hold you in position, but as far as comfort, that I don't mind them that much. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention is removing the manual or the power track assembly. It is possible to get that track off without dismantling the seat bottom. With the invention of the gear wrench, it's tight, but I work on helicopters for a living, so I'm used to working on stuff that's incredibly tight. But you can actually fit the gear wrench in between all the monkey motion, push the foam out of the way a little bit, and slip this up onto the studs. Maybe those studs right there and right there. So that saves a little bit of time. I don't need to disturb the seat bottom, seat cover, undo the rope string, drawstring that goes around the perimeter of it. The new tracks I did notice they are held on with bolts instead of studs. So what I'll do is I'll just cram the bolt up in the foam and drop it through the seat frame. And then get them started with my fingers and torque them up. I'll see if I can get those stuck in there now. Okay, some of this might get a little bit boring, repetitive, so I'll probably chop some of it out of the footage. Probably have to make sure that I don't pinch that cover with the track. Doesn't seem like that would be very good. I don't know, maybe that's how it was though, I'm not sure. Obviously, I think the hardest part of going back together with bolts instead of nuts is going to be turning them in, getting them threaded down. I don't know, I might be able to just jam the gear wrench back in there and make it go that way. I got to remember I also need to put this the seat adjuster bar in between the two tracks. Okay, don't let me put this on the wrong side. That's the inner one. I don't know if you can see from there or not. I did go ahead and pop the switch out of this panel. Yeah, it leaves a little bit of a hole there, but I was able to refit this piece of plastic. This is off a 97. It doesn't have the extra posts in here to hold this piece of plastic tight. So I kind of wanted that switch box out of there to get rid of it. I had a huge gap right here. It looked horrible. This already looks better, even missing the switch. But what I'll probably do is get some of that black stereo plastic they used to sell at the stereo shops. And make a inner, I'll put it on the inside of this trim piece, filler piece, make a filler piece for it. I think that'll look about as nice as you can get. So I did weigh all this stuff, and it's exactly 10 pounds difference going to the manual stuff. That might be important to some people, and other people I'm sure don't really care. Okay, I got the first one started. I'm going to go ahead and hit pause so I don't burn up all my SD card. Because my dumbass dropped the bolt down into the bottom of the seat bottom frame. Had to go find it, dig it out of there. Couldn't find my magnet. Story of my life. Reached it with these long needle nose. Got it started back in there pretty easily, and this time, of course, I just ran it all the way in by hand. Didn't even need the gear wrench. So, stuff's backwards because it's upside down. We want to tighten, not loosen. Tear the seat up on the floor. Trying not to slip off because we're at that angle. Plenty tight. This guy we got to tighten with the open end. I believe it's the pivot bolt coming in through the side is too close to the bolt head for the gear wrench to fit. That's okay. Okay, so I went ahead and tightened this side down. Hopefully that wasn't a bad idea. We'll find out in a minute after I get the other side stuck on there. Alright, I was able to get both bolts started. Got the adjuster bar in there. I guess I should make sure that that bar goes up or down because I honestly can't remember. So yeah, passenger side one's pointed down at the floor. Okay, got all the bolts torqued up. One in each corner, obviously. I think all that's left before we can put it back in the car is put the seat belt receptacle back on. That guy over there. When this bracket down here, let's see if I can get this to show in the light. So this bracket right here is the piece that gets swapped from track to track to make the passenger seat tracks work on the driver's side. If you'll notice, another hole's been drilled in the bracket. That's to allow for the locating pin that's on the end of the seatbelt receptacle, so that when you torque the nut up, it can float around a little bit, but it still keeps it pointing in the right direction, up this way, instead of falling down onto the floor, which is no good. So I'll get that all put back together, and then it'll be time to throw the seat back in the car and see what we think of it. So there we are, finished product. It's all put back together. I don't know if I can show you guys the receptacle and how it fits in that hole down there. This is torqued up. Still can float around just a little bit. So that's the old mess. That's the new tracks. Now I hope I'm not putting the cart before the horse on the electronics. I'm pretty sure that I've read out there that this car doesn't need that brain box, the seat brain box in the car, for it to, keep everything happy and not have all kinds of codes and stuff popping up. So that would be nice. I don't really care about the stupid wire for the seatbelt receptacle. This wire right here. I don't need to be told when my seatbelt's on or off. I'm pretty sure I got that figured out. And I just wear my seatbelt 99.99% of the time anyway, so it's not a problem. So the inside of the car is vacuumed out. Surprisingly, it was pretty clean in there. This car's pretty low miles, as I've told you guys before, so not to be expected for there to be 10 pounds of McDonald's French fries underneath there. Got the seat cleaned up a little bit. A few little minor coffee stains here and there. Previous owner, I'm sure. But let's get this put back in and see what it feels like. Alright, we're back in. Operational. Haven't sat in it yet. Getting ready for that grand unveiling. I'm really happy with the way this piece of seat trim fits now. There's no gap to the leather or vinyl, whatever that is, in these seats. That turned out really good. And actually not having the switch panel in there is not the ugliest thing I've ever seen. It could look more hacktastic than that even. But that'll ride for now. If I happen across a piece of plastic, I'll cut out a little trim panel to go inside there. But let's see how this feels. Sorry for jostling you about there. Oh, more what? Well, there's absolutely no rock. Feels like I can feel just a tiny bit of play where the Probably where the catches are for the seat tracks. I bet I could get rid of that by loosening up one track or the other and just splitting them apart just a little bit. I think I might try that here in a minute, but there's no rock. So that's probably more important to me. That feels really good. Apparently Chevrolet or GM can't figure out how to make a seat track, because I had the same problem in my GTO. It was a 2005, and before it even hit warranty, the seat track was clunking all over the place. I believe it rocked as well. So I think I'm going to be pretty happy with this when it's all said and done. It's worth $100. And even just a smidge lighter. Not that that's a huge deal. Lighter is always better. Hopefully this gives somewhat of an idea of what it takes to do this swap in these cars. If you have any questions, let me know. Y'all know where to put them.